This will hit us pretty hard nonetheless. Because even though we might learn about it in education, we're actually wired wrong to process this information. When we hear things that are contradictory like this, our brains break, essentially. We hear something about our lives that we've invested in, and we hear that it's misguided, and we experience a moment of panic that psychologists have a name for, cognitive dissonance. And our brains really, really hate this feeling. Our brains will work really, really hard to make that feeling go away. We will deny the information. We will explain it away because we just don't want to feel that. And even things that we really ought to know, we hear other people say, and they sound sort of plausible, and so we repeat them. And that's why biologically we are never going to have a culture that is like really into fact-checking. In the age of the internet, we still have educated people saying, don't go out into the cold or you'll catch a cold. Honestly, people, it's a virus. So you're not going to... Anyway. Not only do we have this biological problem about the truth, but the game is rigged because there are people who are putting information into our culture that they know isn't quite true, but they have a vested interest in us believing it. Like their livelihoods depend on us believing it. People spend a lot of money to keep some illusions in circulation. A lot of the things that we think we take for granted in our society today are actually just really effective commercials. Like this one, boy and girl babies are completely different. Or shiny rocks will really make me happy. Or there is nothing as terrifying as sweat. Or the sugar water in that color can is just infinitely better than the sugar water in the other can. Or my standard of living is more important than my planet. These are sponsored content, right? Now, I don't mean to suggest that this is a new phenomenon. Advertising did not come up with this. People have been sponsoring content since ancient times. You know, keeping beliefs in circulation that would help them get just a little bit more money, a little bit more power. Racism is sponsored content. Sexism is sponsored content. So we have broken brains, and everybody else is saying things that aren't true. And a little help from our sponsors is coming in. So it's really no wonder that as we grow up, we turn off a lot of the knowledge that we might be taking in. We start to feel like a guy behind a curtain making smoke blow out of a giant head. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. This is the other movie with a big revelation at the end. It was like the I Am Your Father of 1939. And I really respond to this movie because it's a great revelation. Toto pulls the curtain back and reveals that the Wizard of Oz is just an old white guy with a microphone. This hits me rather close to home, actually. I mean, I really relate to this guy, and I think part of it is because this is a lot of what parenting feels like. You are trying to create a little magic, a little safety, a little comfort, but you actually know deep down it's not all real, right? It's also, it's also the story of culture and civilization. All over the world, phony wizards are thriving because enough people are willing to believe in the big green hologram. And you know what else this story is? It's the story of the straight white male. Our ancestors declared us to be the wizards of the human race. And now we live in a world in which an awful lot of people are willing to believe that. This is a hierarchy with no basis in biology or reason. But most of it, in fact, just about every one of us, has a livelihood that depends, at least indirectly, on people accepting it. So for the last couple hundred years, some brave heroes have pulled back the curtain. They have called us out with their brains and their heart and their courage and said, your authority is a myth. Generally, we have said, come back tomorrow. So this plays out usually in history in one of two ways. Sometimes the wizards fight back. The cognitive dissonance kicks in, and we deny and attack and cling more tightly to our power and our illusion. But there's another thing that often happens, which is maybe even more disillusioning, which is that the curtain is pulled back and the next generation accepts it and keeps the lie moving forward. Our glorious Constitution of the United States left slavery intact. The Civil War left white supremacy intact. The Civil Rights Movement and feminism left structural discrimination intact. It's clear that there's progress, but the people, the great and powerful people, don't let go of that power too easily. So I like to look to my favorite stories for some alternative ways that the story could go. And in Return of the Jedi, which is the last legitimate Star Wars movie, Luke Skywalker refuses to accept the lie that there's a good side that is destined to defeat the bad side. He throws his lightsaber down. It's like the Jedi equivalent of dropping the mic. He says, I will not fight you, Father. You and I are one. He sacrifices everything to break the cycle of illusion. And meanwhile, back in Oz, this man does something extraordinary. He admits it. And he listens, and then he gives gifts. What would it be like if we took an action like that in our lives? What would we have to give up to drop the facade of our power over others? What would our children learn from that? I've been thinking a lot about this man and the chance that he takes. He says, I'm a very good man, I'm just a very bad wizard. And his reward for telling that truth is he gets to come out from behind the curtain where he's been so afraid of being exposed. He earns his freedom too. Thank you.